Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Capers Business Ventures Podcast. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review of this episode. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So please visit us at cbbservices.com/podcast, and we'll be in touch. We're glad you're here, so let's get started. Are you ready to change the world? Well, you're in luck because our next guest has been doing it every step of the way, so let's connect. Hello again, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to visit with me at the Capers Business Ventures Connect podcast. I'm your host, Mel Capers, and I'm delighted and excited to be here with you. Hey, listen, we are overjoyed to have a guest who has been blazing the trails for so many years. He's a retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major, and he's been doing his thing, changing the world, making it every step of the way, just making a difference. And we're so happy that he's taking the time to be here with us. Listen, before I really get going, let me give pause and give thanks to my great Creator for allowing me just another opportunity to do His will on this side of heaven. I also want to take this time to thank my good friends Tasha and Kevin White from Vanguardian Global. Vanguardian Global, they're doing amazing things at Vanguardian Global, and you need to check them out. Please go to their website at vanguardianglobal.com. I am ready to get going. I tell you, I am thrilled to have my guest with me. Oh my goodness. I met him and my world changed. And from that point on, we came up with the theme that we are going to change the world. He is retired Sergeant Major Mario P. Fields, and he's here with us. So let's bring him on in our first segment we call the Meet and Greet segment. Well, here we are in our first segment, the Meet and Greet segment. And let me tell you, it's going to be a special treat because we have a joint podcast going on at the same time. My good friend Mario P. Fields is here with me, broadcasting and recording on his podcast, his Unarmored Talk podcast. So this is going to be so much fun. So I want to introduce you to my good friend, Mr. Mario P. Fields.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast. I'm your host. I got to say that in case we got some new listeners and viewers, Mario P. Fields. Hey, today's special. We're doing a joint podcast episode. And so today's guest, I'm going to turn it over to Mel.
And yes, thank you again, Mario. How are you? Mel Capers here with the Capers Business Ventures Connect podcast, and I am so happy to be here. If you are not, folks, if you are not a subscriber of the Unarmored Talk with Mario P. Fields, you need to subscribe. Come on, let's go ahead and subscribe to Mario P. Fields. He is the man. He is my hero. I'm so happy to have him here, my friend. How are you?
Listen to that introduction, man. I was 5'2.5", but I think I'm about 5'4.5" now, man. And ladies and gentlemen, Capers Business Venture Connect, Mel Capers. If you put in the search engine, go out on Apple Podcasts, your platform, hit that subscribe button. It takes less than a second. He's got some great guests on there, some amazing folks. Get out there and subscribe.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about my guest. No matter how tall he is, I'm still looking up to him. Mario, we need to get it going on, huh?
Man, let's do it. Mel, I believe there's a lot of folks out there that want to be podcasters, right? They want to start a podcast. But I don't see a lot of episodes that are real life conversations between two podcast hosts and producers on emotions that you experience and with developing them in episodes and how we think through it.
You know what? And first of all, I've got to tell you and the listening audience, it's a lot of fun. And you've got to make it a lot of fun. But it's a lot of work. Mario, you know it. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. And you want to make sure everything is right. But the love of doing it and the love of being behind a mic, in front of a mic, or wherever you want, or having a mic around, or having a friend standing you next to you named Mike, it's a good thing because you get to pass on information and you get to help people become better just by being with them and hearing their stories and telling your stories, like Mario, your story. It's incredible. I am so glad that I learned about your story, and my listening audience is going to be in for a treat to hear the story of Mr. Mario P. Fields, the man and the legend himself. I love saying that.
That's my brand.
There you go. Talk about your brand for me real quickly.
No, Mel, first of all, again, thanks, man. But no, I mean, my brand is a Marine veteran who's a philanthropist, small business owner, this podcast host and producer, and also Department of Labor facilitator part-time for transitioning service members, and families. So that's my brand, to give back, man, to do, like you said, to do things to help people, to help that next generation. So, hey, if I die tonight, at least I'm going to bed feeling accomplished and knowing that I did something while I was living. And how about you, man? How about you, Mel?
Almost the same story. There's something about me and serving. I've just got to be serving someone. I've got to help uplift someone. And when I get out of bed, I wonder, who else can I help? And it's all about serving. And that's why when I went in the military some time ago, and I served 27 years, almost like you, Mario, I helped people who were my peers, and some who were not my peers get promoted to a point where they became my supervisor.
And didn't that feel good?
No, not at first. Not at first.
Hey, well, they walking around. Mel, hey, have a seat. You work for me now.
I used to always say, wait a minute, Bobo. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Didn't I train you?
That's right. Come on now. But anyway, in the military, you do what you have to do to keep pressing on, but to keep seeing people accelerate in life. And you have to say to yourself, thank God that you allowed me the opportunity to be a part of someone else's journey. And hey, you reap the benefit of seeing other people succeed. So that's what I've been doing all my life. And the podcast part is just an extension of what I started when I was in the military. See, I was that DJ in the club. You know that DJ?
What type of music was you playing, man?
I know that's what you got.
Come on now. This is Unarmored Talk and Mel Capers. There's no armor here. What kind of music would you spin?
Let me tell you what type of music I spin. During that time, I would look at my audience and whatever my audience wanted to hear. And I pretty much knew what they wanted to hear because I played all genres of music. So sometimes people would look at me and say, well, what does he know about country music? And I can tell you, I know enough to make you get up and enjoy yourself.
I'm going to tell you something. I love this, you and I doing a joint podcast. You know what song I did not like?
What song?
Here's the dirty secret that we're about to find out. Remember that song that came out talking about some, I don't want no short man. Remember that? Remember?
Yes.
Man, I was in Pensacola, Florida at a club, and that song came on. And they were screaming that song, and I just kind of went into a corner. I'm like, wait, when did DJ turn that thing off?
My God. Oh my God. You know what? You know what? Listen, as a DJ, there's an art to it. You have to see everybody having fun, and you're always going to have some folks who are not going to be happy for what's going on or what's being played. But the point is, everybody's dancing, having a good time.
Right, because 99% wasn't 5-3, right? So you ain't lying. At 99%, they was having a blast. I was just sitting there like, let me just get on this stool so I can look like I'm everybody else's size. But bring back some memories.
Oh my goodness. Listen, man, it's a lot of fun, but I'm telling you, but that's where my podcast started from. That's where this voice started from, the love of music, the love of being able to communicate with folks. And what happened is during the pandemic, I everybody was stuck in their house, but I kept saying, what can I do to make myself feel like I'm helping someone?
Right.
Hey, let's start a podcast. And let me give you an example of how the first episode started. Hello, everybody. It's a good thing to be here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi, everybody. You sit there and wait for them to answer. That's not how yes.
Hey, I remember when I did. You go back and listen to my videos. I thought having the mic in front of your face or the screen, like I thought that would make me look like an official podcast host. So I made sure I got the screen right in front of my face, so you kind of could just see my eyes.
Well, the one thing that I learned is that you have to have the right equipment. You've got to have headphones, microphone. Well, I don't want to get so much in the weeds with that, but you want to do well. But I got to tell you, Mario, as you know, it's a lot of work that you have to be ready to put in. And you talk about going through the ups and downs. And if you're not one who communicates frequently, you've got to realize that it's a constant challenge, that you have to have new and fresh content that you can put out there. Because if you want people to follow you, you got to give them something to follow.
Right. And just some of the challenges I faced is, if your podcast has a discussion framework that has a time component, which I do, 20 to 30 minutes is a time frame. You get a guest that wants to talk for an hour and 30 minutes. How do you guide where am I looking? How do you guide them where you don't become disrespectful and you can still keep it within that time frame of that discussion framework? That was a challenge.
It's an art to it. You have to be able to be a fantastic listener first, but you have to be a facilitator of the conversation, not a victim of it. And you can sit there and listen to someone go on and on and on, but you have to develop a skill of interjecting and say, guests, let me see if I got this right. You said this, this, and this, or you can say, wait a minute, hold that thought or let me see if I have what you just said correctly. And you what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain the control of the conversation somewhat. And you want to, again, be a part of the conversation, not a victim of it. So what you want to do, I had a guest on one time who just kept going on and on and on. So I had to jump in and give example of what I think he was talking about, my example, so I can take back the conversations. But at first you sit there like a deer in the headlight thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I like what you said. You can become a victim of the conversation. Another thing when I did it, for me, it was, so am I going to do video or just audio? And if I'm going to do video, what software am I going to use? Who's going to be my video editor? What's the name of the playlist? And then you publish your first video and you're like, yeah, I only have 2 views in the first in the first 30 hours.
You
Why?
know, let me ask you this because what you just said was important. How did you come to the determination of how you were going to do it? How did you come to the point where you said, I'm going to use this software and I'm going to do videos? So talk about the process. How did you get there?
Great question, Mel. It was by trial and error. And what I mean by that, it was my wife. I said, babe, does your Mac computer, does it have software for video editing? She goes, I don't know. She goes, let me see if it does. Oh, it does. So, hey, let's just try this. Let's try to see if we could put the Zoom right video into the software and see what happens. And then it was my wife that actually got in her software and started messing around and said, "What do you
Wow.
think about this?"
Wow.
That's how we started with the video content. And I was going to start a new YouTube channel, and it was my business advisor Bob Gotletsky that said, why would you just create a playlist? You already have a following. And so I was literally, yeah, that's how it started. The video component.
That is so impressive. What's more important than being able to tell your message and get it across is being able to listen. Just listen to what people have to say because if you ask, well, let me see if you ask questions correctly, people will give you answers that will give you what you need to get better as a podcast. But I always tell people this, Mario, don't go final first. Don't go final first because you're not going to be perfect at it. And you have to gradually get better and better and better.
No, I agree. And how about yourself? Because I've seen, I have experienced a lot of podcasters who just have audio content only, but you have video as well. So how about yourself? Like, how did you go? Yeah, I'm gonna do video and audio.
Well, I'm not at the point of where you are yet, Mario, with my video. Honestly, I'm still trying to get to that point. But I want my guests to come on and be comfortable because there are a lot of my guests who come on and they're not comfortable with being on video. And I've even had some folks, and they don't want to turn their camera on. But that was early. But I usually have a conversation with them up front to let them know what the final product is going to look like. And here's what else I do. To make sure that my guests and I are on the same page, I make sure that I allow them to see what I want to publish to the world before I publish it to the world. And if they nix it, I won't publish it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And because they're a part of it, it's their episode, and that's how I advertise it because it's your episode, it's not my episode. So it's an opportunity for my guests to connect with the world. So, but Mario, like people like you don't need me to connect all over the world. And I heard your episode a short time ago, and speaking from someone from France, dude, this guy's got it going on. I mean, that episode was a fantastic episode, and much applause for you for doing amazing work with your podcast. I love Unarmored Talk.
No, thank you. No, but come on, Mel. I know you're gracious, and but ladies and gentlemen, he's got Mel has some guests on there that made me stand at attention as a Marine veteran, right? And I want you guys to go check out. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you who she is. But I want you to go on his podcast and look at some of his most recent guests. And I'll give you some hints. She has an amazing story and reached some of the highest levels in the military. And I'll leave it like that.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. My guests, I've been lucky to have some incredible people come on and agree to come on as guests. And I've got to shout out this one guest. Her name is Renalda Sullivan. And she's got a story. Her story to me is it's over the moon. I mean, she has created a business called Dream Differently. And what her business is all about, she's a coach who helps mothers with children with autism. And I mean, you got to check her episode out. on the Capers Business Ventures Connect podcast, because it'll make you feel like, wow, there's somebody out there who's helping people. And one of the lines she told me is, everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's affected by autism. So she started her company called Dream Differently, and you can find her at dreamdifferently.org. And that episode is probably the closest to me because it blessed me to meet her and people like yourself, Mario, and people like you're talking about. So I absolutely love doing these podcast episodes. I do, because I meet so many outstanding people.
I totally agree. I mean, we're going in, this year be year 2, and I just go back through the episodes, and like you said, Mel, even meeting you. I mean, if I wasn't into the podcast industry, I would have I believe I wouldn't have met you. But you're right. Just to walk away from the screen and the microphone, you cut the lights off, and you go, wow, what an amazing person. Like Susanna, the episode you're just referring to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Susanna's journey with her mom in Chile, and what was going on and how that occurred. But anyway, yeah, just, and if you're having a bad day too, right? You're having a day where things are just not going right in your world. And then you just watch or listen to one of your own episodes. And you're going, no, my day's
pretty good. I'm doing okay. I got to tell your listening audience that if you want to binge on some great stories and motivational stories, Unarmored Talk, go to Unarmored Talk, listen to all the episodes and tell everybody about it, because every story is absolutely incredible. And to see some of the people, Mario, that you brought on as guests and think, wow, they went through that. Oh my goodness. And so I love the title of your podcast, Unarmored Talk. I love everything about your podcast. That's why I wanted to connect with you. And I wanted to be here with you. And I wanted to connect with you. And I wanted to connect with you. And see, that's what we do here at the Capers Business Ventures Connect podcast. So, my friend, I'm getting ready to ask you, are you ready to get into our next segment?
Oh, you know I am.
Well, let's do it.
And so, and Mel, you are definitely a busy guy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't let Mel fool you. He's like the deputy chief of operations for the entire northern region of America.
Wow. Hold on. Whoa, let me wake up. Oh, should I slap you? Oh my goodness. Come on.
I think it's the latter, man. You need to slap me.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm always interested. I have my own emotional struggles, and I use the word struggle because it's things I'm not comfortable, I'm not used to, but I have to think through them. And for me, one of the emotional struggles I had was doubt. Like there were times when I started this that I started to experience an emotion of, doubt. Like, am I even good enough to be a podcaster? Is this going to last? I mean, I looked at the statistics, and I think like over 70% of podcasts, they don't last past 6 episodes. It's a high number. And so did you ever experience anything like that? Or were you, what did you experience? I know for me, it was like, man, I don't know.
Without question, I did. I mean, we always walk around with self-doubt in anything that we do. When you were a private, did you really know that you were going to be a retired sergeant major? I mean, you probably looked at some sergeant majors and thought that I can never be that. But then you were determined that that's what you were going to do, and you did it. So, yeah, when I started doing the podcast, I tried to pretend that I knew exactly what I was doing. And, it was not as easy as I thought it was. And we are our own worst critic. And first, who would listen to me? I kept thinking. I didn't even subscribe to me.
No, I don't want to join that crowd because
Mel, like I'm not even subscribed to myself.
It wasn't good. But it was one thing that I needed to get over with because I couldn't get into the numbers, because when you get into the numbers early, it really can be discouraging because you probably have this expectation that you're going to have all these followers, and you might have yourself and your loved ones, but they may trickle in later on. Your numbers may trickle in later and later. Your numbers may trickle in later. But once you get there, like you did, Mario, you're going to be surprised how quickly you got there and how far along that you've been moving on and getting better and better. So it does take some time. And we've got to stop thinking that everything is a microwavable fix.
You
I
got
like that. Say that again, man. Let me put that in my.
Yeah, we've got to stop thinking that everything is a microwavable fix.
Let me put that in my briefcase of words. Microwavable fix.
You know, when you became a sergeant major, you know it didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of work that went into it. Every superstar that we have ever known, we look at them and we think, oh my God, that person was just born like that. And, you know, it takes a lot of work to get to that point. So success, in my opinion, is a succession of failures. Now, I'm not saying that you should think about failure, but it's going to happen. You just have to get up and keep moving on. You just have to use what didn't work and get better at it and get better at it and get better at it. Like right now, I think I'm pretty good at what I do because I have people like you on my podcast. And I get great people on my podcast as guests because I get people like yourself who know other people who recommend, you know, they might say that Capers guy, he's pretty good. You know, I mean, listen, I walk around thinking like I'm walking around looking like Denzel Washington, you know, and I'd be like, my man.
Yeah, you know, you made me feel better because again, sometimes you're doing this, you can feel alone. But like you said, Mel, the going to bed, wrapping up that interview, that podcast episode, knowing that this content is designed to help someone, and what an amazing feeling. Hey, I'm not going to take too much of your time, my friend, because again, as the deputy chief operation of Northern Operations in the world, and honestly, you're doing great things with your your initiatives, your podcasts, and some other things you're doing. I don't want to take too much of your time. If I could just ask you one last question, and you can reciprocate it if you want, but if you had to give one piece of advice to someone who's right now thinking about and imagining starting their own podcast, what would you tell them, man?
Do it.
I like that.
Do it. You know, what you never want to go through your life regretting that you didn't do something that you wanted to do. And I'm not talking about do things illegal or whatever like that. I'm just saying, but I got to tell you real quickly, I regret that when I left high school, I didn't go to college. I didn't go and become a college student and live in the dorms and live a college student life. See, I can never live that life like most kids did at 19, 20, and 21 who went to college. But I came in the military, and now I've got 5 academic degrees. But I regret the fact that I didn't go through the process of being a college student until this day, until the day I leave this world. I'll always regret that I didn't have this experience. But now I'm not saying I would be better off, but I regret that I didn't have that experience. So if you have a hobby or something you want to do it. And I mean, listen, I never rode a motorcycle, and I decided to buy a motorcycle. I bought a piano, don't know how to play the piano, but I taught myself how to play the piano. I bass guitar, bought it because I don't ever want to regret that I allowed this life to go by without me enjoying every minute of it, and also showing my children that you can have and do whatever you want. So when it comes to having a podcast, there are so many podcasters out there that you're not alone. So do it. But don't just do it because so-and-so is doing it and so-and-so is doing it. Do it because it's something that you love and that you can give back to somebody. So here's what I was going to say a short time ago, Mario, is that you called me that I've got all these titles, the world star, and you didn't say world star, but you said
deputy chief operation officer, director of Northern Operations in the world.
Is that it? Well, let me tell you how much that means.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I'm a child of God. And the thing I'm most proud of is that I am breathing every day because He's given me an opportunity to do His will here on this side of heaven. So every day I'm thankful that I'm here. Every day He blesses me more than I could imagine. I am living in a life of abundance right now. Never thought I'd be in the place that I have been in. Never thought I'd meet the people that I've met. One of the places that I never thought I'd go to in my lifetime was in Hawaii. And this past October, I was in Hawaii for a 4-day trip. Didn't blink and think about it. So, so I've been blessed over and over and over. So I always have to give thanks to God because every time I come on my podcast, as you know, I always give a moment to give my great Creator thanks for allowing me the opportunity to do His will on this side of heaven.
Yeah, no, I agree. Matter of fact, great minds thinking. Like I actually just started a new playlist, and it's called 1 Minute with the Sergeant Major. So we just, so the second video was published last week, and the topic was how do I, because I have the viewers send in a topic of discussion, and so one request was how do you stay motivated, and it's funny you mentioned that, Mel, because that's what I said. I said the first thing I do is thank God I woke up, because if I didn't wake up, we wouldn't be talking.
Hello.
Yeah. So this is great because that was this first video was the introduction on the playlist, but the second video was the topic, and that was the first point. So yeah.
Well, let me get to my last segment real quickly. You ready to get to my final segment? We call it the Connect segment.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, here we are in our final segment with my guest, Mario P. Fields. Mario, how do people connect with Mario P. Fields?
Yeah, they could put my name in the search engine, literally Mario P. Fields, and it all comes up. And I'm not joking. So the Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel, it's all, the brand is Mario P. Fields. And so, yeah, that's how they can connect with me on whatever platform they feel comfortable.
Hey, listen, if you want to get to the next level in anything and everything in life, connect with Mario P. Fields. He is the man, he is the myth, he is the legend. I'm so glad that you had an opportunity to stop by, but Mario, I want you to help me do something.
You got to give me something tough, man, because I want to help you in any way I can.
Let's change the world.
You see what's behind me.
There you go. Let's change the world. I love you, man. Thank you for taking the time for being here with me. I tell you what, let's do this thing and let's make this the best year ever.
Man, I love you too. And ladies and gentlemen, for my Unarmored Talk subscribers, viewers, and listeners, again, thank you so much. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
And for my listening audience, we will see you the next time.
for you to subscribe to our podcast, Capers Business Ventures Connect. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. So please like, share, subscribe, and leave a review. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn at Capers Business Ventures, and on Instagram and Twitter, you can find us at CBV Services. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.